Welcome to Flavored Enemy Regnum Vitisum. The following program is intended for mature audiences only, so listeners' discretion is advised. Thank you, and welcome to Veith University.
Welcome back to Flavored Enemy Orientation Week, Clack. The night sky casts an ominous cloak. Dark clouds loom overhead, obscuring the moon and stars, as if nature itself mourns the impending tragedy unfolding below. A biting wind cuts through the air, carrying with it a sense of foreboding. The gusts whip through the surrounding area, causing the trees to sway and groan in protest. Leaves rustle and scatter, carried away by the relentless currents that seem to echo the chaos below. Occasional flashes of lightning streak across the sky, illuminating the scene in brief, dark bursts of light. The land surrounding this church shrouded in darkness, with only faint glimpses of silhouettes against the dimly lit horizon. The once lush fields and vibrant gardens that embraced this sanctuary now appeared desolate and abandoned, their beauty marred by the encroaching presence of the priests. The thunder resonates through the air, adding to the cacophony of battle, a solemn reminder of the powers at play in the clash of ideologies unfolding beneath. Rain begins to fall, starting as a gentle drizzle that quickly intensifies into a downpour. The droplets pelt the earth, forming rivulets that snake through the soil and mingle with the bloodshed of the fallen. Each raindrop seems to carry with it a somber weight, a reflection of the tears shed for the losses suffered within the sacred walls. The atmosphere is heavy with sorrow. The heavy wooden doors of the Church of the Inevitable tremble as the echoing chants of the priests of the Bane grow louder. The air crackles with dark energy as the oppressive weight of impending doom settles upon the sanctuary. Inside, the faithful followers of the Inevitable, both living and undead, prepare for the inevitable clash. Among them stands Murmur, a Kenku whose feathers ruffle with a mix of determination, fear, and unwavering faith. Murmur bears witness to the unfolding tragedy, their heart pounding in their chest as they watch the valiant defenders fight against the relentless forces of the priests of the Bane. As the battle rages on, Murmur finds himself pushed back, stumbling over fallen comrades and broken pews until they reach the sacred altar. The once sturdy stone beneath their trembling hands now feels cold and unforgiving, a cruel reminder of defeat. The enemy closing in, Murmur's gaze falls upon the statue of the Inevitable that adorns the altar. The serene expression on the deity's face seems to hold a silent plea, urging them to find strength in the face of despair. Desperation wells up within Murmur's chest, and they clutch at the symbol of their faith, a pendant depicting the Inevitable's burning wings. With a fervent prayer on their lips, they vow to honor their fallen and protect the legacy of the Inevitable, even in the face of overwhelming darkness. They grab their mace. They steel themselves. And one by one, with a crack and a snap and a break, the skulls of the priests of the Bane litter the once holy floor. Blood splatter covers the floor, the ceiling, and the walls, and yet still being pushed back, overwhelmed. The enemy closing in, Murmur can't help but feel a profound sense of loss and grief. They know that this once holy sanctuary, a place of solace and worship, is being desecrated by the relentless forces of the Bane. The weight of the tragedy bears down upon them, and the tears stream down their faces as they weep for the fallen and the uncertain future that lies ahead. In this moment of despair, a glimmer of hope flickers within Murmur's heart. If it's the unyielding belief in the Inevitable's teachings, the unbreakable bond between the living and the undead, and the enduring power of compassion that will fuel their determination to rise from the ashes and rebuild what has been lost. But the forces of the Bane prove too powerful, too relentless. In the midst of the chaos, a cruel blow lands on Murmur, cutting through their defenses. Pain sears through their body, and with a gasp, they stumble backward, falling to the ground. Their vision blurs, and the sounds of battle fade into an eerie silence. In their final moments, as life slips away, Murmur's thoughts turn to the inevitable, and the sacrifices made by their fallen comrades. Within their last breath, they utter a prayer, a plea for divine protection and guidance of their God. But as their spirit begins to depart from the mortal realm, carried on the wings of the Inevitable's burning grace, something happens. Fire, burning bright and yet purple, burns away the feathers and the flesh. A fiery purple energy sears into their soul. And as their flesh and feathers burn away, they find themselves staring down the remnants of a scared force. The fire erupts, burning brilliant and bright, scorching everything in sight. Shadows dance along the walls, forever burned into them, until all that's left is a small Kenku skeleton and ash. Suddenly, you bolt upright in bed, having had the worst possible nightmare. Clack, could you describe yourself, please?
So Clack is a skeletal Kenku standing at about 1.5 feet tall, currently dressed in black, like a long scarf wrapped around their body, and it is adorned with a variety of shiny stones. And they don't have any facial expressions because they're a skeleton, so that's really all there is right now. But
so you kind of pull yourself to your feet. You've been, since you got into Douglas, you kind of just been crashing on the like cot that's set up in one of the back rooms for the Church of the Inevitable that's here. Just kind of like waiting for college to get started and stuff like that. I'm taking it day by day, but you know, today's supposed to be that funky little orientation thing they were telling you about. Something to do with that. What are you doing before you're supposed to go to orientation?
Clack follows a pretty strict regiment of getting up and then doing his daily prayers and meditation. So they will get out of bed to make sure that happens before they leave. And before he goes, they just kind of like grab whatever they need. Books, paper, whatever they might have, stuffing it into a satchel. Somehow neatly, but still very tight. Like they packed everything that they thought they might need. There's lots of little tippy tappies as they're like kind of anxiously getting things sorted out.
You're still trying to figure it out, but you still have a unread message on your cell stone that they managed to get you all set up with at the Church of the Inevitable. It was kind of like the least they could do for years of servitude. But you still haven't been able to figure out how to actually read the message.
Yeah, as he like realizes that there's still a decent amount of time before they have to leave in order to be at the college. Like they have walked the path between the church and the college plenty of times to know like how long it would take him to get from one to the other. And so they know that like they have plenty of time, and so you just kind of see him like poking at it, and sometimes he turns it upside down and like is trying to get it to like to show the message, and they keep swiping like every other things aside, probably some important information, but haven't quite figured out how the touch screen concept works yet. Especially because he doesn't have fingertips.
I feel like it's gesture technology. Like you just kind of like have to just hover over it because there are a lot of people with no fingertips.
There's a moment where he gets kind of frustrated and he goes to peck at it. And with DM permission, if that's time that it works. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You kind of peck at it and then it just pops open the message right in front of you. And you see that it is a message from Icky yesterday saying that because everything going on with family wasn't going to be able to make it to hang out with you today, and everything going on with like orientation and stuff like that, but that he would catch up with you later. In addition, you also have a message from Eloisa saying that she's going to get you a bunch of new friends. All you need to do is just show up at the ice cream spot that you two usually go to after orientation.
There's a very distinct, like, as he reads Icky's message, and then, like, happy tippy taps as he reads Eloisa's message.
So as you are kind of sitting there out front of the church, you see a young, maybe 18, 19-year-old guy with like black shaggy hair, kind of just past his ear, and wearing a black suit with a gray waistcoat and a red tie, as well as black wings kind of furled on his back that are like feathery. Kind of approaches and looks out of the corner of his eye at you and says, hi, do I know you?
Clack just kind of like waggles some fingers in greeting and then shakes their head. And then like points at him and shrugs.
Oh, yes. My apologies. Still getting used to everything. My name's Aedes.
And then another like wave.
So, are you heading to the university? I saw you looking up there.
There's like a very fervent nod and then some like tippy tappies.
Would you care for some company afterwards? I have to go and take care of a few things. You're more than welcome to come with me if you like, and I can accompany you. I'm going to be going to university as well.
It's like a slight cock of his head, and then he nods quite enthusiastically.
There aren't many like us here, so it's nice to meet a similar soul.
Another like cock of his head, and then they like tap on their skull, and then cock their head the other way, like they're asking a question.
Are you asking how we are alike?
Kind of like wave their hand so.
Well, I too have seen what lies at the other side of life.
A like solemn nod. It seems to answer their question.
Well, if you want, you can follow me. I'm heading over to the Temple of the Fallen. I have some things I'd like to take care of there.
Another nod. And then they like clutch their satchel and like the strap of it as they pull it like kind of tight over their shoulder.
And he starts to walk over towards the Temple of the Fallen. Just kind of strolling along, very casually, very nonchalantly. You can see he's got this gait that reminds you of someone who is walking with intention and grace, but not in that snobby way of like nose up in the air. Just somebody who kind of like floats along when they walk.
Clack is a lot less graceful. Clack is tiny, so it's very like as they try to keep up with him.
So you both kind of like walk along, and you walk through the Winter Ward towards the Temple of the Fallen. You're walking for quite some time. Do you try to like communicate anything to Aedes at all while you're walking along, or is there anything in particular you're doing?
Not particularly. I'm mostly like watching him, but also like watching the space around us. I'm curious, but like not inquisitive. I'm mostly just trying to make sure that like I keep up with him, because that's kind of difficult when there are people and things to look at and my legs are short.
You walk along, and you notice that everyone just kind of like gives him a small berth. So like normally you're having to dodge people's feet and such like that. Make sure you don't get stepped on or kicked or turned into a pile of bones. But walking near him, like everyone just kind of like bubbles around him. You're not too sure why until you see one of the older looking gentlemen who's getting ready to like bump into him and kind of moves off to the side. You see his posture kind of straighten up as his shoulders kind of shake, and you're able to easily understand that is a reaction of fear. Like for some reason everyone else is scared of this guy.
Clack's immediate response to that is to just like grab onto his sleeve. Like he's not trying to get Aedes' attention. You're just like grabbing onto it.
Mm-hmm. As you kind of walk along, you reach near where the Temple of the Fallen is, and you see that it is a rather beautiful area, and Aedes kind of stops for a minute and scans the entire area. Just you can see there's a lot of pain in those eyes with him looking out, as he kind of just takes a second. You hear his breath kind of die in a somber tone.
Clack kind of tugs a little bit now on the sleeve. And then, like, cocks his head questionably.
It's alright. You see, places like this. Beautiful to see how ingrained in people's memories the dead can be. Too often are they forgotten. You see, he kind of looks around. You see this grand structure constructed of white stone, arches with intricate designs carved into the walls. You can see stained glass windows featuring beautiful mosaics of heroes and scenes from great deeds. The gardens surrounding the temple are immaculate, with carefully tended flowers and trees, providing a peaceful environment for reflection and prayer. You see a moat that surrounds the temple, its waters kind of flowing and bubbling gently and peacefully, serving as a reminder of the sacrifice made by the fallen. Inside the temple, where he just kind of strides along, you see many altars dedicated to different heroes who gave their lives during the Great Destruction, the war with Bashrai, and the war with Daranzor. You see that he just kind of strides along, and you see he reaches an altar, and he just kind of kneels at it. And starts to begin to pray. Do you speak Abyssal or understand Abyssal?
Let me double check. Ah, there we go. Do not.
So you're not able to make out exactly what he's saying, but you can definitely tell this is something of a heartfelt prayer, right? And he kind of looks up at this mosaic in the stained glass above the altar, and you see that it is Icky's mom. Just like she is now, holding a gun pointed directly at like this big old tower of black pudding or something like that. You're not too sure what it actually is. Maybe like some ball of like black boogers, maybe. You don't know exactly. But there's like a swirling energy around the gun itself. And like almost like this ghostly image kind of chewing out of the gun of a pained face in agony. And kind of looks up somberly and wipes a tear from his eye. And you see him sit down a piece of dark oak that's been carved into something on the altar, and starts to stand up to walk away. Do you linger to see what it is that he carved, or do you kind of
I'll take a look at it.
All right, make an insight check. Make an insight. Investigation check.
That's a nat 1.
Nat 1. It's a paint blob monster thing. Might be a starfish.
Yeah, I look exactly like my icon. Red question mark and all.
Just a red question mark materializes out of thin air.
and then I just scamper after him.
Well then. I'm ready to head on over to university. Are you hungry, Clack? Do you eat?
Just a shake of his head.
Would you like to go someplace where there is food and sit down and enjoy some company before heading over to university? I feel like if we left now, we would be 3.5 hours early.
There's like a moment of like no response, and then a nod. And it's a fairly fervent nod.
All right. Well, I think someone was telling me about the Whitestone Inn being not too far from here and being pretty good. Does that sound good to you? I think that they had some spoke start drinks there as well. Maybe they'll have something that you can enjoy.
A slight cock of his head, but then he shrugs, and then they like grab onto the sleeve again. Ready for guidance.
You see he kind of like lifts his arm up to kind of like let you like climb on his arm all the way up to his shoulder. And he just kind of strides along, once again people giving him a small berth, as he strides along towards the Whitestone Inn. It's a pretty busy day. I mean, you're not really feeling the effects because you're not having to walk or deal with the really big crowds because they're walking around. But you can see that the stores are kind of packed and full and everything like that. Luckily, you got all your shopping for school done earlier, and you have it all in a box that's going to be delivered to your dorm room. So you should be good. So kind of walking along, or riding along in this case, and you reach the front of the Whitestone Inn. It is a 3-story tall tavern. You see that it's got this like kind of like dark brick exterior and this wrought iron sign outside with this fancy filigree, and this large oval shape hanging from the arm, and carved intricately inlaid with a silver metallic sheen is the words Whitestone Inn. As Aedes opens the door and says, oh, let's grab a seat, huh? And he kind of looks around and goes and grabs a seat somewhere near-ish the middle of the restaurant, but like jutting up against one of the support beams, so like the table kind of like comes out from the support beam, and he grabs one of the high top tables and kind of raises his elbow so you can slide along to the chair.
Which Clack does with grace, as much grace as a skeleton can. A little bit of like a...
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and make me that acrobatics check?
10.
It's janky, but you end up on the chair. And he kind of sits down across from you, and you guys are sitting there for maybe a minute and a half when a young blonde halfling woman runs up and says, hi. Don't think I've ever seen you two faces around here. My name's Marjorie. Let's see here. Okay. I'm pretty good at guessing drinks, so give me a second here. You look like you would want a mahogany roasted oak with a smoke bomb.
Well, I'll give it a try.
And you... Okay, well, skeletons makes it a little bit harder because can't really drink drinks. How do you feel about a How do you feel about a Gadenberry paste? Does that sound good?
Clack just like looks at 80s because he's not sure what that is. But they're like going to take 80's worth for it.
Just kind of nods, like you should
Then they
just
like
try
look
it.
at her and nod as well.
All right, I'll bring the drinks out and a couple of menus too. If I think we still have some skeleton menus. I'll have to go double check. Be right back.
As she kind of heads off towards the bar. 80s kind of looks across the table at you.
So I feel bad because it's kind of hard to gather your name. Do you have a way to communicate it?
Clack just kind of like looks around for a minute because they haven't quite figured out how to use the spellstone, but they do have like a notebook and something to write with in their satchel, so they like pull it out, and then there's like a bit of a thunk as they drop it down on the table because they have to like do this thing where they have to like put it over their head because like all 80s can probably see is like the top of their skull. and then he just like stands and he flips it open and writes on the first page, my name is Clack, but it's in like this really elegant handwriting.
Oh, Clack. It's a wonderful name.
There's like a little bit of a jig as he says that.
And how long have you been on your second time around, Clack?
Clack like puts a finger like on the bottom of his beak for a second while he tries to like do math. And then it takes a second longer. And then another second. And then finally they just kind of like write on the paper again. It is unclear.
Yeah, same for me. Well, in a manner of speaking. So, what are you studying at Vayeth University?
Clack gets busy writing again. Give me just 1 second. I have to like double check because I don't remember exactly the words that I used. Brain. As he's writing down quite fervently, rituals and potions with a minor in nursing. A nod.
Ambitious, huh?
And then he writes down really quickly again. I want to learn how to fly. And then turns it back to him.
Well, just remember, you're capable of anything, okay? I'm sure there are people out there who will tell you otherwise, but...
It just like draws a smiley face.
Trust me, you are capable of great things.
And then he writes, you too.
You are... You are just as capable of flight as I am of plucking a ruby out of the ground here.
And he kind of reaches his hand down, touches the floor, and you hear a snap of the wood as he pulls a ruby out of the dirt and puts it in front of you, waves his hand at the ground, and the wood mends back together.
There's like tippy tappies on the chair. He looks very excited, but for somebody who doesn't have a face.
I'm sure that might be able to help you with your studies.
Is he offering the ruby? Oh. Yeah, no, Clack absolutely
he's giving
takes
it to you.
And he's like examining it. How big is it?
It is about an inch and a half across.
He takes a really good long look at it and like holds it up to the light because they're like admiring the shininess, and then they stick it in their eye socket.
Fantastic. I'd almost argue it doesn't fit, but Clack has abnormally big eye sockets. So it fits. As a matter of fact, thanks to spatial skeleton magic, it hovers inside the socket.
So Clack just has like one ruby eye.
It does that whole it does that whole like globe spinning thing where like it just kind of rotates slowly like a globe. Aedes just kind of sitting from across from you, kind of just chuckling to himself as you kind of shove this ruby into your eye socket. And Marjorie comes back with the drinks and says, here you go. Here is your whiskey and your paste.
And a shake.
You ever used this before? Okay. So you're gonna do is take your pinky. You're gonna scoop just a little bit of that paste onto your pinky.
They do as instructed.
And what you're gonna do is you're going to reach inside your mouth and run it along the inside of your jawbone.
They do that as well.
As soon as you do it, you feel flesh start to reappear on the inside of your mouth as this flavor of this seeps into your taste buds, letting you completely develop the taste of the extremely rich and succulent berries, like a whole wild fruit medley, and seep into there, and then the flesh kind of sizzles back away until it's nothing but bone.
There's like
but it kind
of
leaves that echo of the flavor.
Clack is like visibly startled. And they like flail a little bit and like land on their ass in the seat. And then quickly stand back up. And point at their mouth.
Yeah, it takes a little while to get used to. This paste here has got a slight magical effect that brings back your taste buds for a short period of time. Allows you to taste things again. Obviously, you don't need to eat to be able to, like, live, but, like, you get to enjoy food and how it tastes again. This is a fruit medley paste that kind of brings in a couple of, garenberries and crackberries.
Clack, like, quickly
raspberries and
down
kingsberries.
on the notebook. How do I acquire more?
Well, any tavern that is of note and is friendly to awakened would be able to serve this. Also, if you talk to some of the higher echelon chefs, they could probably teach you how to make a couple dishes. You have to use really strong flavors and ingredients to make it carry through. So some of the lighter stuff, like vanilla and like teas and stuff like that, you have to bring a lot of those in order to taste those.
Very like
that makes sense.
Aggressively, but it's still like very neat. Can you provide a list of these higher echelon chefs, please?
Sure. I can go ask our chef about where you might be able to go and get some different kind of foods. It'll take me just a minute. Oh, and here are your menus. By the way, there is your skeleton menu. we don't have a lot of dish options here, but we do have those 4. As she kind of hands the menu to you, it's a small little menu, and there are 4 dishes on there. One is roasted venison with juniper berries. The other is a campfire chili. The third is a Glee Glux flank steak with roasted Brussels sprouts. And the final is a dark chocolate and raspberry cake.
Clack looks over this momentarily and then does not hesitate to write down the venison and the cake.
All right, I'll get that together for you. And okay, got that for you. All right, and for you.
Kind of looks over at 80s, and 80s is like, well, I'll, You know, I'm kind of curious to whatever this burger here is. I'll try one of those.
Sure. All right, I will get those back for you. It'll take just a minute, so enjoy your drinks, and if you need anything else, just feel free to wave me down. Oh, and skeleton Kenku, so not a whole lot of words, right? All right,
She kind of fishes through her apron and pulls out a like one of those school desk bells and sits it on the edge of the table. Try not to overuse it, but if you need anything, just ding.
And a wave.
Okay?
Right. I will be back with your food, and if you need anything, feel free to wave me down. All right.
And she kind of walks off to her other tables.
As she's
AD's kind of sits there and sips his drink.
Idea is playing in his head of needing something to make sound for them to get somebody else's attention. There's a light bulb moment, and they write down on the paper, "Do you know of any way that I could transpose my thoughts into sounds?" And passes it.
Well, there's the question of whether or not you want it active or passive. Do you want all of your thoughts transposed into
Only
sounds,
the ones
or
I
only the
choose
ones
to.
you choose to? Well, I imagine that from what I've learned recently anyways, that I feel something the Katagear Labs should be able to do. I believe that they have a store in the Sand Ward here. You can go and walk by and see if
Little
there's
bit of a
something
nod.
to purchase.
As they contemplate this idea. They're not sure what a lot of money is. So he's just kind of it's an idea. But for now, he just leaves it at that.
Well, we can at least go and see.
And then he writes down, "Thank you. You have been very kind so far."
Of course. I don't know why people think otherwise, but
He writes down, "I don't
I
understand
try
it
to be
either.
nice.
I don't like the way that people were looking at you. It's unfair." A sullen
Such
nod.
is our lot in life, He sips his drink and kind of looks over at you and says, "Are you
A very
scared to
fervent
try the pasty
shake
now?"
of the head, and then they immediately dip in and do it again. And it's a repeat of the first time, but as they settle into the chair after like falling back into it, like their entire posture just kind of like decompresses as he like enjoys the flavor. You get the sense that he's probably the skeleton version of sighing.
Yeah, I think it was the ball and socket who first invented skelapastes. I think that's what they're called. The ball and socket is a bar and tavern located in Spokestad.
He like
quite a
stands
beautiful
up
place.
again and writes, I have never heard of, or excuse me, let me rephrase that. I have never been there. I have only read the name.
It's really beautiful. People like us everywhere. It's definitely worth a visit.
What is it like?
Imagine city destroyed and yet rebuilt. A ghostly structure colliding with the physical one to create a patchwork city. There are young vampire children who would otherwise have been burned at stakes. There are ghosts of lovers who died during the wars. There are zombies free from the control of vile, evil necromancers, all with their freedoms and their homes. A holy place. One blessed by
Immediately,
the
he writes,
inevitable
I must go someday.
and blessed by the darkened. You really must. The new Empress has done wonders. It's even better than it was before.
Then they write on the paper, is it where you're from?
No. No, I'm from a little bit further away. But I haven't been back there in quite some time. I came here trying to find my son. Years ago, he was taken from me. And well, I never found him. But I feel a connection to this place, and so I stayed.
He like writes down on the paper, do you still think you'll find him?
I think that wherever he is, he's outside of my reach now.
There's like a moment where Clack just kind of like stands there quietly with his like head slightly turned down towards the paper. Like they want to write something, but they just don't know what to say, you know? They want to give him some kind of encouragement, but he also understands that like the life of being undead is just not easy, and there's not really a lot you can say to take that away. And then after like a good 20 seconds, He, like, takes a lick of the paste, this time not reacting, and then writes down, "I hope you find him all the same. Please let me know if there's anything I can do to help."
Thank you.
A solid, fervent nod. Determined, but not pushy.
Oh. Sorry to make the mood so somber.
They
I'm sure you
shake
were
their
ready for
head
a chipper day before I happened to
and
meet
then
you.
write, I understand that not all things are happy all of the time. That doesn't mean that I can't enjoy the things that are happy. I appreciate your forwardness. And then they, like, settle back into their seat, and then they just take another, like, lick of the paste, and, like, their head is kind of cocked thoughtfully. But he's not saying anything on the paper. Like they're staring out the window, thinking about stuff.
You see that she kind of like thinking about stuff and looking out the window and kind of gazing around. You see Aedes resting his hands on the table. You see him like absent-mindedly fiddling with his ring on his middle finger, just kind of spinning it back and around. But you can see in some intricate
Shiny
silver work on it. It catches your eye immediately because it glints in the sunlight. Go ahead and make a investigation check, please.
That's a dirty 20.
So you see it. It is a very interesting design. One that is like this writhing necks out of like a draconic looking body. You can see 6 individual heads kind of wrapping around to create this ring. He's kind of spinning it around his finger. And see, he's got this pained look on his face. Like, he wants to be angry or sad or something, but he doesn't have any definitive way to feel because he doesn't know what's going on. And so instead he's choosing to feel nothing. And he grabs his drink and takes a sip of it and kind of absentmindedly pours over the menu again, not really reading it, just like looking at something. And then looks back up again at you and says, do you ever wish sometimes you weren't given a second go around? That you could have an afterlife?
There's kind of a moment where Clack really seems to contemplate that. And then they write down kind of slowly because they're trying to find words for it. I used to think that frequently, and it was a consistent battle, as I also recalled exactly why I had been brought back to life. I was given a purpose, but that purpose seemed to be nothing. And upon entering Douglas, I found that there was still plenty of things to see, to experience, that I never would have gotten to understand if I hadn't been brought back. So I suppose, in short, yes, but I don't believe it will always be that way.
Well, he kind of like wipes a tear from his eye. Well, my dear friend Clack raises a glass up towards you, as in a cheers.
Clack raises up the little container
Second
of
chances.
paste and like links it against the glass, and then like dips his finger in, like takes a lot of paste, sticks it in his mouth.
He drinks it back, and when he does, you see he drinks the whole glass and then turns the glass over so that way the open part is like on the table, facing down, and slides it off to the side. And he gets ready to go say something to you when Marjorie comes around the corner. Says,
Oh, yeah, here you go. Got your food, and your cake's gonna be out in about 10 minutes, so you got some time to finish this one. And here we go. Here's that for you, and that for you. Do you guys need anything else?
Clack shakes her head.
no, I'm good. Clack?
All right. Well, I will be around if you need
Clack
anything, and you
nods.
still got my bell if you need anything
And then,
too, Clack.
Like as his interaction with her ends, like his focus is still on AEDs, because like he could tell that he was gonna say something, and that he didn't say it.
You see that Aedes has now turned his attention towards his food, and
So he just like
you feel
grabs
like the
paper
moment's
again
probably
really quick
passed.
and writes, "If you need somebody to talk to, I have been told this is my number." And then they put their cellstone number down and passes it to him.
You see, he kind of grabs it. Oh, thank you, Clack. He folds it up and tucks it into the inside pocket of his suit.
The way that like
Suppose I'll need to get a cellstone then, huh?
Clack's body like kind of shakes a little, there's kind of the indicator that it's probably laughter, but it's really hard to tell because you just hear like bones rattling. And then they like go to try the food.
As soon as it gets close to your jaw, and as soon as it touches it, you feel that like that warm wetness of a roasted venison, like not blood, because like obviously that's not like the flavor I'm talking about here. I'm talking about like when you press into a roasted venison and the juices kind of roll out. That hits your tongue immediately, your materializing tongue as this happens. And then following quickly after that is the applewood and the smoke, and all of that kind of rolls into your taste buds. And as quickly as it comes and washes over you, it starts to echo and fade away. And the two of you sit there and enjoy your meal. rather casually and calmly. Small comments and remarks here and there. And you see that Aedes just drops two
that's
platinum
way more
on
than
the check.
Clack has. And there's like a moment where you can see that Clack is buffering to process the amount that was paid. And he just like stares for a second.
Mm-hmm. And like you saw the prices. You saw the prices when you're looking at the menu. The whole meal couldn't have cost more than like 8 silver.
At the money, and then a moment where he like stares at Aedes, and then just decides that it's not worth like pursuing in conversation. So he just like stuffs what's left of the food and the cake into the satchel. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. See that Marjorie comes by and like grabs the check and like absent-mindedly doesn't even like she catches the corner of it, not looking down, thinking that it's just the gold or whatever, not really paying attention to how much money was actually dropped there. And she's like, all right, I'll be back with your change. Just hang on right there. It shouldn't be more than like 2 minutes. And Aedes kind of looks at you and says,
you can see more buffering.
Do you mind if we make a break for it now?
And then Clack like suddenly seems to understand what's happening and quickly pops out of the chair and like he taps towards the door quite fast.
And Aedes follows suit as you all exit the Whitestone Inn. And he heads outside, and you see him kind of stretch a little bit. You see he kind of like lets his wings unfurl and flaps them a couple of times, having been pressed up against a chair for a while, and then kind of folds them back upon his back. They don't ever really give much.
There's like a moment where
where
Clack like looks back. Can't see like Clack's tailbone because they're like covered. But he's agreeing. A nod.
Well, shall we head up to the university then?
A more fervent nod.
Would you like a ride again?
And a little shimmy up his arm.
And kind
onto
of
his
stretches
shoulder
out
where
his
he
hand.
perches comfortably.
And the two of you walk all the way over towards the university ward. And I guess you roll me a perception check.
19. That's ominous.
Finally, someone made it. As you're walking along, you see something out of the corner of your eye from your perch on Aedes' shoulder. You see two young adults. One's got like shaggy blonde hair, the other a little bit longer shaggy brown hair. Both dressed like to the nines, like obviously some rich kids. Wrap something in canvas and stuff it behind a dumpster in an alleyway.
There's probably
about a foot and a half.
A couple of quick taps on the top of Aedes' head, and Clack like points. They
Did you You want me to go check something out?
How far away from the site are these people now? Like, did they stay there, or? Clack, like, jumps down.
No, they immediately dipped after stuffing it back there.
And starts, like, going in that direction.
AD is kind of like, not really like trying to stop you, just kind of like following along with where you're going, walks behind you. As you walk over to the alleyway and you get to the dumpster that's kind of pushed up against whatever this item is that's stuffed behind it. Hades kind of looks at you, says,
They, like, go to pull this thing
all
out.
for dumpster diving, Clack, but... You're going to make a strength check.
18.
1.5 foot Clack.
So like Clack grabs on to the canvas,
describe this
just
to
the
me.
canvas. Like, they're careful not to grab whatever is under the canvas, and then they like put a foot on the dumpster, and like true cartoon fashion, like yank, pushing their foot like on the dumpster with their head tilted all the way back until like it comes out, and they land on their back.
You see that AADs kind of just like slow claps.
They start like unwrapping
Remarkable. Okay, what'd you find? What's that? Okay. You see an absolutely gorgeous small statue. It is a bust from like the lower part of the neck all the way, or like the mid chest all the way up. You can see it is a minotaur, and the bust is made of this beautiful dark blue stone, and you can see these purple spiraling patterns kind of coming out of it, like rising up out of the stone. On the horns themselves actually curl all the way from the front, curl all the way back into almost this full spiral, and it is absolutely stunning. Absolutely stunning. The marksman, the craftsmanship is beautiful.
If actually been an eyeball, like, it is glittering. Clack is very proud of his find. Yes, but like extra.
Well, it's a
like
it
if
is a
shine
ruby,
the light
so it
from
is actually glittering.
Inside Clack's skull through the ruby, that's what you see.
Aedes kind of looks at this and says,
Clack shakes
wow.
her head.
It's gorgeous. Do you have any idea what it is, Clack?
An even more fervent shake.
Well, I presume you're not leaving it in the dumpster.
Would I know that?
Well, you already know your dorm room number? Yeah, I'd imagine you probably found out about it ahead of time through the church to make sure that you knew how to get to where you needed to go.
Nodding, they're like wrapping the canvas around like their back, and the bust kind of like hangs on their back like a baby. In one of Clack is totally just gonna
I'd like to point out this thing's like the same size as you.
Donkey this thing all the way to the school if he has to. Like a pack mule.
80s kind of watches for a second.
At first, Clack looks like they're
Would
gonna
you
say no.
like me to
And then they
carry
take a
that?
step, and then they stop, and then they nod.
All right. As he kind of holds it, and you see he holds it in the same arm that you crawl up, so you can be like right there next to it. And
They're,
the
like,
two of
the
you,
occasional, like,
walk along
quiet
towards the
taps of Clack's
towards
foot,
the,
just, like,
university.
tapping the top of the bust as they go, because he's still like really proud of his find. Clack has failed to mention entirely that he saw who put it behind the dumpster.
As you're kind of walking along, you reach the university ward itself, and as you're kind of walking up towards the campus, you see that there is the row of organizations and club stalls leading all the way up to the main campus. You can see stalls for Blood Rush, Airball, Mashbat, BattleBots. You can see that there is a stall for the school newspaper, the debate team, the Dino Don fan club, the school choir, the school marching band, photography club, engineering club. There's even a small stall for the school store. Basically everything you could think of in terms of school organizations and such. There's also a stall off to the side where they're doing like you see it's like this school organization club where like they kind of like help get people organized for volunteering and stuff like that. And you can actually see as you're standing there, you can actually see Thalia, who is Icky's sister that you've met briefly before, and two other people talking to somebody at that table
like,
as you're kind of
first,
walking up.
Past like the band like table and like they tap on a couple of rib bones and they kind of sound a little bit like a xylophone, and then he shakes his head and then his eyes come across the airball table and he points.
No, yeah, sure, we can go and talk to them. So let's head that way. As he kind of starts heading over in that direction. Would you go ahead and make me another perception check?
12.
Okay. So it's pretty quiet over here right now near the airball table. There's not a whole lot going on, but because you see there's a big crowd over at the BattleBots table, people gathering around over there. And as you approach, you see that a young woman with long black hair wearing like these thigh-high leather boots that are kind of like segmented almost like plate mail, this leather corset, and this leather skirt, and these leather gloves that are fingerless gloves that run all the way up to like the mid bicep, and then a black leather choker on her neck, and two crossed scimitars on her back. She's got this dark tan skin that almost has a faint honey glow to it, and these deep greenish brown eyes that seem to like reflect the earth back at you.
Waggles.
You just kind of casually looks at you and says,
and
"Hey,
then
what's up?"
some very obvious, curious lookings around, looking for information, like maybe a pamphlet or something.
Oh, you're interested in
Clack, like, scratches
you're interested in
his head. He's not
airball?
really sure how to voice his questions. And then, like, an idea kind of strikes him because they, like, remember that they were just kind of vibing the night before with their cellstone, and they're not sure what they did, but, like, it just was really loud all of a sudden, and it was, like, playing, like, a video. And, he starts to wonder if, like, they can, like, make it make sound again. And so he, like, pulls it out of his clothes, from somewhere in his clothes, and, like, they both witness them, like, really struggling to, like, get it to work. But eventually, like, after a bunch of pop-ups come up, and you can, like, see his messages, like, finally, they find a way to, like, get the phone to talk.
So, are you interested in airball, Skeledude? Oh, well, airball is it's a sport. It's played up in, obviously up in the air. Oh, shame on me, by the way. I didn't tell you. My name's Zeke. Zeke Rodon. Let me kind of give you the brief overview. Hopefully that'll, better explain everything. It's wild. First time someone hasn't heard of airball, but hey, it happens. So, airball is quite easily the most bougie of all the sports, if I'm being honest here. But here's the lowdown. The fast-paced, full-contact sport. You got your two teams, each with 11 players. It's played midair, about 100 meters above ground. You got 4 goals located in each cardinal direction. The home team defends the north and the east goals, and the away team defends the south and the west goals. The object is to score as many goals as possible, with the ball being made of like a lightweight aerodynamic material. Players take up specific positions, including forward, midfielder, defender, and goalkeeper. I'm a midfielder, by the way. The game's full contact. Players are allowed to harm opponents, but cannot kill them. There's a penalty awarded for killing an opponent. But nearby clerics can revive any killed players, so there's that. The wind plays a critical role in the game, though. So speed and direction constantly change, ranging from a gentle breeze up to about 220 kilometers per hour. Every goal scored results in the wind changing direction to blow in the opposite cardinal direction from where the goal was made. So, if you make a goal in the north goal, then the wind starts blowing north to south. If you make a goal in the east goal, then the wind starts blowing east to west. Airball is played in 2 45-minute halves with a 15-minute break in between. No timeouts allowed. Magic is encouraged in the game, with players using spells and abilities to gain advantage over their opponents. The game's pretty highly competitive, and it's a pretty popular sport. There's even professional teams and stadiums playing worldwide. And generally speaking, we sell out the stadium pretty often too for our games. No, actually, some of us can't fly. We use specialty equipment. For those of us who can't fly naturally, some people even who can fly naturally use the equipment to be able to play, like at a different advantage. So she kind of like walks out from behind the stall and she shows you her boots. And you see that the boots are, like I said, they're like that thigh-high leather boots, but on the bottom you can see these weird metal tubes. There are two coming out the back, one coming out the right-hand side angled at a 45 degree, and one coming out the left-hand side. So it basically works like you're running through the air. I can rotate my ankles, as you see she does. You see that the tubes kind of spin and shift a little bit. In order to sway from left to right, I can lean forward onto my tips of my toes and kind of bend my ankles that way in order to propel forward, and then lean backwards to slow down. So, and it kind of looks like this. She taps her foot on the floor 2 times, as you see these tubes light with blue fire, as she rises up off the ground. You see she's hovering about 8 feet up off the ground, rotates her ankles, and makes herself shift to the left, right, back, and forward until she clicks her heels together.
There's some wiggling.
The fires stop and she drops back down to the ground.
This is happening, and
so
you can see
that's
Clack
pretty much the
watching
premise.
her, but he's also typing.
If a person were to join this sport, would they also acquire the boots?
Yeah. You get to use the boots, and you get to use those. Usually, what you'll do is once you make the team, if you make the team, you'll have a set of boots that you use during games and practices. But a lot of the players also talk to the engineering kids about getting ones made that they can use outside of practice to get some extra practice time in. So it's also if you're looking to get access to the boots, you could always talk to one of the engineering kids into making you some.
How does one join the sport?
It might cost a little bit of money, but everything cool does. No, that's easy. If you're interested, you can sign up on this roster sheet here. We'll send you out a text message to your Sailstone when tryouts kick off, and then you come out to tryouts. There will be a day of learning where everyone kind of learns the equipment in the sport, and we kind of make sure that everyone's kind of starting off with a general concept and idea of how to play. And then the second day will be a day of tryouts. And then the third day will be a day of a scrim between the two teams that are made up of the people trying out.
More typing,
and then the coach will kind of pull from that to decide who's gonna start.
I would like to join the sport. May I be at signing level?
I got you, Clack. As he kind of lowers his hand and
they happily sign.
Lifts
they
you
have
up
no
towards
idea
the,
what
towards
half
the level
of what
to
she
sign your
said
name
even means. But as he's being held in place, their feet aren't touching anything, but they're still doing the tappy movements. There is excitement in this skeleton. He figures he'll figure out the rest of it as it happens. But they want to give the boots a try before they try to buy their own, is the thought. But also it kind of sounds like fun.
You see that Zeke's obviously happy with your reaction. As she kind of as you finish signing your name, it's all right, little skeleton, I'll shoot you a message, and you can be waiting for that. And if you need anything else too, I can tell you're kind of new around here. If you need anything else too, just let me know. I spent a lot of my time as a kid growing up around the undead, so I know a thing or two. So feel free to send me a message about that.
I am Clack.
Of course. Nice to meet you, Clack. I'm Zeke. Alright. I gotta go and help over these young freshmen that are coming up over here. So, if you excuse me, I gotta go talk to them too. See you around, Clack. And she walks over to talk to the other young freshman. Aedes kind of looks over at you and says, "Look at you, already the social butterfly."
One sec. Is typing.
It is nice. Will you join a sport also?
I'm not really the sport kind.
And then
Thinking
he
maybe something with
kind of
history or
wiggles and
literature.
starts typing some more.
Understandable. Is there a history club?
Well, let's go and have a look, huh? As the two of you kind of walk along, you for a little bit, and you end up getting towards the back of the organizations and clubs stalls, and you reach two stalls that might be of interest. One is the Dinadon fan club, which is like a fan club dedicated to an ancient hero of legend named Sir Dinadon. And they do like different things like reenactments, and they do cosplay contests. And
Would I know who this is?
You know, do playthroughs of the video games that were inspired by Sir Dinadon, and stuff like that.
I'm
You know,
so
that's-
glad
that's
you said
make a
advantage,
history check with
because I got a
advantage.
nat 1 on the first roll. Dirty 20.
Yeah, he was a bit of a folk hero when you were, and the memory kind of slips immediately. Like you almost had something. You were trailing along something. You definitely know who that person is, and you feel like it might have been when you were alive, but the memory of learning about them,
They very
you feel like you might have met
emphatically
them,
point
but then it
at
slips
that
and is
table.
gone. Like the memory's just evading your hands. Oh, okay. Let's go ahead and check that out. As you walk over there, you see a
Clack
young
waves.
goblin girl raises her arm in salute. Hail, adventure!
And
My
then he,
name is
quickly gets to
Sword
typing.
Fleeks. It's a pleasure to meet you.
It's a pleasure. Do you know this hero?
Well, I mean, I'd like to think so. I spent a lot of my time as a kid learning about him and learning about his legends and his great deeds, and, well, a lot of the history books are incomplete because a lot of the stuff's been completely burnt down in different wars and battles or lost to the ages, but we try to make do with what we have,
Can
and,
you tell me about him?
well, I feel like we got a pretty good selection so far. Sure. Dinadon was a legend, an absolute legend. a bona fide true hero, one who lived by a code of chivalry and a code of honor, and one with a very tragic and dark past. See that he had to face down an enemy that was less an enemy and more a lover. Well, once was. And, well, he was triumphant, if you want to look at it that way. He gave up everything in order to protect everyone around him. A selfless and true hero from a bygone era. We all kind of strive to be like him.
And there's some
hard
some
to live
typing.
up to that.
One sec.
Do you host public meetings where you discuss these things?
Yeah. When we do our meetings, we kind of talk about the historical bits that we've learned. We try to like compare notes and compile information. We also, share cosplay tips and stuff like that, and sword techniques that we've learned through studying of the sword art instruction manuals that have been given, as well as even on the rare occasion. Because I don't know if you knew, but Jardinadon, he re-emerged, having been frozen in time for a long period of time, but we don't see him very often. We think he might be on some kind of secret mission of some kind. But we met him once. I think it was my sophomore year. It was the 18th of Firebreak, 4:22 p.m.
Is there any way that like
I had
can
turkey chili
discern
that day? I remember because I was a little bit
how true any
nauseous.
of this is? Like, can I determine like the likelihood that they actually met him? That's an 11.
Yeah, go ahead. Make an insight check.
He doesn't comment on that, but he does have questions.
Seems a bit fishy.
What is your next date?
Seems a
What
bit
is
fishy.
cosplay?
Oh, okay, I'll start with that first one. So our next date is we do every calendar day. So our next date would be 2 weeks from now on calendar day. So let me double check your calendar here. Let's see here. Let's see.
He like scribbles
That would
down.
be the
He
20th of
takes out like a
Felrain.
tiny little pad and a tiny little pen and like scribbles it down, and it's very clearly like a calendar, but a tiny one. He just writes the words cause, C-A-U-S-E, and play.
Oh yeah, and cosplay. We create outfits and armor and garb to recreate the outfit and garb and costumes that were used in Dinadon's earlier adventures. I'm trying to stick to the tried and true methods that
dress
were
like
used
them.
back then. No machine weaving, all by hand. I I mean, yeah. For the most part, it's interesting to get back into like to get into the kind of clothes that they would wear. Like, it kind of sends you back, you know? Like, not obviously we can't go back in time and live in that time period. So this is kind of close as we can get.
Typing, and then
Perhaps I will have to spectate next meeting. I am most curious.
Yeah. You can definitely come by and like check it out, see if it's your kind of thing.
I also dress for the occasion.
Who knows? Maybe it will be. Absolutely.
I need not apply to the club.
No. You kind of apply to the club whenever you can do it if you'd like. But you apply to the club whenever you're ready to hit that point where you want to start collaborating with us in terms of like events and planning and stuff like that. If you want to just come spectate, you don't have to sign up for that.
I shall consider. I wish to spectate first. Thank you for your time. I have learned a lot today.
Sounds good. Sounds good, Clack. And if you want, and she kind of writes down quickly on a piece of paper and hands it to you. It's my cell phone number if you want some information, or if you need obviously you're gonna need the location of when we do our meeting. So
yes.
Just shoot me a text whenever you're ready.
Thank you again.
And then he like looks at Aedes, and then
as you look at Aedes, Sword places a arm on her chest, like her fist closed over her chest, and like dips her head low, and you see her.
He's like mid-typing when this happens, and then
May
they
light
like
protect you.
Also bow their head. Do I recognize this greeting at all? I rolled the same number twice in a row.
Make a history check with advantage.
So they like just dip their head kind of in a similar fashion.
You feel like you might have heard it once before, but you don't remember
where. And then they look back to Aedes.
Is there a table you wanted to see?
Oh, I was looking over at the book club over there. If you're interested, that is.
Let us club the books then.
Otherwise, we can leave you here. You can talk more about the Dinadon.
I once again scamper up onto his shoulder.
He
and perch.
lowers his hand
and again, there's
towards
like
you.
the paps to the statue.
And
walks over and heads over to the book club stall, as see that he looks at a young guy, maybe 19. You see that he's got this kind of tussle of brown hair on top of his head, and his very soft and warm smile. These kind of light brown eyes, and a very slender frame. And he looks at him and says, "Oh, hey, I don't think I've ever met you two before. Must be freshmen." I mean, it's orientation, so yeah.
A finger waggle.
Hey, yep, sorry. Awkwardness. My name is Victor.
And then,
Everyone just kind of calls me
a
Vic,
quick
though.
Typing.
I am Clack.
Nice to meet you, Clack. So, you interested in joining up with the book club?
Yeah, I am. I think Clack expressed some kind of interest as well. It is.
Are there any
by the
books
way.
like at this table right now?
Pleasure. Oh, yeah, I mean, books are pretty great. There's a pretty decent stack of books like in the corner. You see that it's kind of like stacked so that you can read the book titles going down. The first one that catches your eye is a green slimy looking image on one of the
I would like to
spines of the books.
touch this book. If I
And
can.
in black gooey letters it says "From Slime with Love."
It's like a curious touch. It's not like
It's-
a,
so
I
it's-
think
it's not
slimy
actually
touch. It's like a,
slimy.
this book is interesting.
It's
touch.
just like
when you
drawn
run
that
your
way?
finger over the title of a book, like on the spine. That's what Clack does.
As Victor's kind of talking to the two of you as you're kind of doing this, I kind of joined up. So my kind of hesitates and then like fumbles around with his words, like you're a partner. Tanfin got me into them. Got me into the book club. That is, but yeah, I mean, like some of the books we've been reading have been really good. There was one that we were reading. What was it? It was last year. Last year we finished up with Stitched Up Heart, I think it was. And that was a really good one. And then this year we've got From Slime with Love, which is classic. And then we've also got Man and Machine, which is a new one that came out this year. And we've also got
Sorry, go ahead.
what is it? He kind of turns the pile of books and reads the backs. Oh, yeah.
There's a moment where
the,
like Clack is typing, and you can tell
The
that
Taste
it's
of
like
Gold.
a couple of
That's another
sentences.
one I'm looking forward to. It's gonna be a good one.
Is a book club like a library? Do you keep people in libraries? I suppose someone must keep the books.
So book club is kind of like we all decide to read the same book at the same time, right? And then we meet every 2 weeks to kind of talk about the book and what parts we liked, what parts we didn't, our thoughts and interpretations of those, and kind of like discuss all that. and then we kind of just read along all at the same time, so we can all kind of be excited about the book together. If that makes sense. You ever go to the movies and like when you're walking out of the movies back to your place,
he's like talking,
you are
Clack
talking
is
about the movie the
typing
whole
his
way.
responses.
That's basically what book club is, but for books, not movies.
He waits until Victor's done before he presses play.
Oh, what a splendid idea. Do you read books about magic? What is a movie?
See that?
Okay.
Victor takes a second with that last bit. I'm gonna roll a wisdom save for Victor real quick.
The way that like Clack's head is tilted.
I'm gonna try to determine whether or not Victor thinks you're fucking with him.
80s can tell that he means it, but he absolutely means it.
Oh, you can tell Aedes is sitting there waiting to have this basically the same question answered. We sometimes read books about magic, though we usually focus on stories to tell, whether or not they're true or fiction. We genuinely focus more on stories. Movies, I'm assuming you're new to town. Movies are, if you were to take, have you ever been to a play? You know, like plays or dramas or operas or something like that stuff?
Looks like he's thinking, and then they say, and they start typing. And there's like moment where they like tap their chin, like they're thinking about whether or not they should say it, and then they just decide to say it.
I have never had the chance to spectate. I have heard of the practice, however.
Okay. So you get the concept. A movie is where basically somebody records all that on camera. And then they take all of that that's recorded and put it on a screen, kind of like your Cellstone you're using there, but bigger. Everyone all goes into the movie theater and sits down. Usually you got your popcorn or your drinks or whatever, and you throw that up on a big screen, like a big version of your Cellstone, and everyone watches it together. It's just a different way to consume stories.
Oh, I would like to try that sometime.
And then he's typing.
Yeah, movies are pretty cool. I'm surprised you haven't been yet.
There's more typing.
Be honest with you, I thought you were pulling my leg.
I have only been here a short time.
Aedes is fully intrigued at where this conversation is going right now.
I don't want you to fall.
Already has written his name and his Cellstone number down. Huh. You remind me of... You remind me of this girl I went to high school with.
Clack's head just kind of
Played
like
on the mash
tilts.
bat team with her, and just like absolute like... You two would get along swimmingly.
And then
Trust me.
like he very like quickly moves on to typing again.
Pulling my leg is an expression
Typing.
for messing with me.
And
like,
there's like a tap 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 as like his foot like taps down, kind of like thoughtfully.
Ah, yes. Those pesky colloquialisms. What kind of stories do you read?
Yep, those will get you. But yeah, you can sign up here if you're interested, and well, we read all kinds of stuff: horror, fantasy. We also read stuff about the future, about the past, true stories, fiction, romances, all kinds of stuff.
When do you meet?
Oh, that's easy. Let me check here. We meet on Thursdays. We meet on Thursdays every 2 weeks. But we don't meet until the 7th of Darkcrest for our first meeting.
Wonderful. It will not interfere with the airball and the cosplay.
You signed up for airball, huh? I'm a part of the mash bat team myself. I'm the
He
pitcher,
starts
actually.
typing again.
What is smash bat? I presume you are not actually smashing bats.
So it's another sport. It's very, very different from more laid back. So Mashbot is played on a diamond-shaped field. There's 4 bases and a home plate. 2 teams of 9 players each take turns batting and fielding, with the objective being to score runs by hitting the ball with a specialized bat and running around the bases. Players cannot hinder their opponents, but they can use spells and abilities to buff themselves or their allies. The game has 9 innings, with the team with the most runs at the end of the 9th inning being declared the winner. Extra innings are played if the game is tied. Breaking the rules results in penalties, such as awarding a base to the opposing team if a fielder interferes with a batter or runner. It's a pretty well beloved sport in the community. It's played casually and professionally. Relies heavily on skill, strategy, teamwork, and magical abilities to gain an advantage over the opponents.
He starts typing again.
Uses your brain a lot more than the other sports.
Gosh, sorry. I need to trim my nails.
I enjoy games that makes you use your brain. However, I wish to fly even if it is not real.
Yeah, I can understand that. Airball is pretty cool, pretty exciting.
I will join your book club, though.
Then he like makes the motion to like reach the list.
Sounds good.
And then a nod.
You see that
He signs.
that Hades kind of raises his
and
hand
then he
up
types
and
really quick.
gets you all the way up to signing level.
I hope we will read the stories that make my ribcage light.
Hey, I hope you enjoy what we're doing too. As you hear Hades kind of talk to you,
He nods
softly
and
says,
then waves
"Well,
at Victor.
looks like the orientation itself is getting ready to start. You ready to head over so we can hear the headmistress speak?"
And he has nothing else to say for now.
All right, I'll see both y'all later.
He's ready.
And you two walk along into the main building itself. It's a bit crowded and cramped in here, but you manage to sneak in and find a single seat. You kind of just resting on Aedes' shoulder so you can hear everything that's going on, and see for the most part as everyone kind of sits down and you hear the headmistress speak. If I may have your attention. Good morning, everyone. I am Headmistress Ilmarrow, and I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you to Vayeth University. We are thrilled to have you all here today and hope that you will find our institution to be a welcoming and inspiring place to learn and grow. As the head of this esteemed university, I am committed to providing our students with the best possible education and resources, as well as creating a supportive and inclusive environment that encourages personal and academic growth. At Vayeth University, we believe that education should be a transformative experience that prepares our students to succeed in an ever-changing world. Whether you are a new student, a returning student, or a member of our esteemed faculty and staff, we value your presence here today and hope that you will find our community to be a place where you can thrive. Our faculty is made up of renowned experts in their fields, and our facilities are state-of-the-art, providing our students with the resources they need to excel in their studies. We also pride ourselves on our commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion, and we strive to create a safe and welcoming space for all members of our community. We believe that by embracing our differences, we can learn from one another and create a more just and equitable society. As she continues talking, her lips no longer match up with what she is saying, and the voice deepens, darkens, and becomes a lot more startling. No one else seems to react to this at all, except for Aedes, who just has a small smirk at the corner of his lips as you hear what she says. I am really sticking my neck out for you. If so much as one thing goes wrong this year, I am personally holding you responsible. And while you may not be able to conventionally die, I will make sure that every ounce of your existence is painful to the last degree.
Watching both of them. Is there any way that I can tell who she's talking to.
What are you doing while this is going on? You can definitely, so like she's still addressing the audience normally and speaking, but you can tell that the message that you're hearing is going straight to Aedes, but since you're in physical contact with Aedes, you're hearing the same things that Aedes would be hearing. And you hear Aedes respond to her, and he says, "I will do my best to make sure nothing goes wrong. Outside of what normally goes wrong at your university, you're not exactly the most safe school there is out there. You know what I mean. I'm already getting your order started back up.
So Clack is like,
but
listening
you
to
need to
this
make sure
happen,
nothing else bad happens."
They don't like do anything right away, but like after a moment, like after the interaction kind of definitely comes to an end, they like type like they're gonna start like a recorded message, but then they don't hit play, so they like hand their cell stone to Aedes, and the message says, what is she talking about? Are you in danger?
You see that he like softly nods up to Headmistress Ilmaro at the podium, and responds to you back out loud as your the audio for your like audio receptors kind of changes, and you're now receiving everything as it was normal. He kind of talks to you over the Headmistress Ilmaro and everyone else, kind of murmuring, "I'll be fine. We can talk about it once we're more settled in." So, once again, I welcome you all to Vayeth University, and I encourage you to take full advantage of the opportunities that are available to you here. Whether it is through our academic programs, our research initiatives, or our extracurricular activities, I am confident that you will find your time here to be fulfilling, enriching, and rewarding. Thank you.
Clack
Please join the
maybe
line that correlates with your last name
less
to receive your dorm room
excited
assignment.
than he was like originally, but Little has like dampened their excitement for like all of the activities that are coming up. They do worry about Aedes though, even though like Aedes like said that it's not anything to be worried about. Usually that's like famous last words, and Clack is aware of this. Yeah, so he doesn't push, but they do absolutely intend to like reconvene with Aedes on this particular topic.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to head and get my room assignment.
There's a nod.
I can meet you
Clack.
just outside near the dorm rooms if you want to
And
meet me
yeah, they, like,
afterwards, and
gather
I can
their
get this
things.
thing up to your room.
I'm going to head towards where I know my room is
He heads over to the
supposed
line
be,
that correlates with the
since
A.
I already have my
and
room assignment.
where do you head?
Oh, well then I will get in line for that.
Well, you'll still have to get your
One
room key
second.
from one of the lines.
My headphones are dying.
you... Sorry.
Can you hear me okay? That's wild. Okay. Cool. Hello.
Can hear you now. A lot clearer, too. So, as you kind of get in your line, your line's rather short. It runs really fast. As you see this very large, round, grung-looking individual. He almost looks like a grung, except for the fact that he's more lizard-like. And you can see, like, he's got a tail kind of floating out past him. Very round blue face. Very soft scales. Not overly jagged or anything like that. And he just looks rather jovial and happy. You can see he's got a brown leather vest on. He's wearing a apron that's kind of sitting over that. You see he's got a meat cleaver and a couple of herbs and spices like wrapped in twine hanging from his belt, as well as a couple of glass bottles, a ladle, a rolling pin, a fork, all kind of there. He's got a small chef's hat that's sitting at the back of his head. And as you get to the front of his line, and he's like, "Oh, hey, I'm Fish Fingers. I usually just run the cafe, and well,
there's a nod.
I'm just kind of helping out. So you must be let me check my notes here. Clack, right?"
There's
I tried to study over my notes before, so I didn't mess anyone's names up. It's really hard. Some people have really hard names to pronounce.
You are doing wonderful, friend.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot to me. Okay, let me take a look and get your dorm room number. I need to make sure I get that before I get your keys. Okay. Let's see here. He kind of looks through the tablet. Okay. All right. Here we are. Room. So on the 4th floor, room 6 in Bristleback.
And Clack takes them and carefully tucks them into his clothes.
Here you
and
are.
then types.
Thank you.
Oh, of course. And if you need anything, you feel free to come ask me. I try to be there for everybody, and I'll do my best. And just so you know, I am also well equipped to make different kinds of pastes. So if you want something to eat, just let me know. It takes a little time to get everything prepared,
I will likely
but
call for that.
You let me know the things that you want to eat, and I'll make sure to get the ingredients. That sounds good. And just remember,
I believe it.
Fish Fingers is one of the best cooks there is. Not the best, though. But I am one of the best. As he kind of goes back to the notes and starts looking at the next person so he can go find their name really fast. And
Clack, like, tippy taps up to Hades with his keys, nice tucked into his clothes,
you see that
and gives a finger waggle.
is just outside the door waiting for you.
Typing.
All right, you ready?
Yes. I have acquired the keys.
Good. Let's head up. And the two of you kind of walk over to Bristleback, and it's pretty somber and solemn walk. Like, you notice that the sky is starting to kind of gray a little bit, kind of blot out the sun, and the wind's kind of starting to pick up just a bit. As you all reach Bristleback, you hop in the elevator and ride it up to the 4th floor. You notice that as you're kind of like riding along, you see that as the floor kind of beeps number 2, you see that Hades kind of shifts himself a little bit, looks at the door, and starts kind of like just like tapping his foot. And then you see him snap his fingers once.
Out of curiosity, would this be the first time that Clack has
ever
experienced
And then just kind of casually just goes back to just tapping his foot like he's tapping along
He does not look like he's having a good time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yes. And you all ride up to the 4th floor. Hades is kind of walking you along towards to your dorm specifically, so he can deliver this thing for you. And you end up getting all the way over to the 4th floor in room 6, and you see that the door is like already cracked open, but there's also a huge banner on the front of the door that says "Welcome, Clack." And as soon as you get to the front, the door kind of swings open, and little party streamers are hanging down that are in like whites and greens and blacks. And there's little poofs of confetti from small confetti cannons.
So Clack
that kind of poof at you as the door opens. And Eloisa claps.
But
Clack,
like
you
the
made
way
it!
That his
How you
skull
doing?
rattles, like you get the sense that he's crying. Like the way his feet tippy tappy, like it's not sad crying. I do.
You see Eloisa like immediately like runs over to you and like tries to give you a hug and lift you up. Do you allow this? Okay. Eloisa kind of picks you up, and Hades is kind of like taken aback by what's going on right now. You see he is not in his element with this much color. Eloisa kind of spins you up, like holds you tight to her chest and kind of twirls. I'm so glad you made it. I was worried you were going to end up, not wanting to be here. And, when I found out you and I were going to be roommates, I was super excited. And I knew I had to make your first time coming here, like, super memorable. And then I remember that you were telling me about, like, how you were, like, super excited about all the different colors in the dorm room. Like in Douglas. And so what I decided to do is I'm gonna
just like overload you with colors, right? Because like, you know, if somebody like says they like chocolate, right? You want to make sure that you get them 3 scoops of chocolate with brownie bites, fudge drizzled on top, and chocolate sprinkles, right? That's just how you do things. But like, yeah, that's kind of like besides the point. So basically, I said, okay, we overload Clack on colors, just all the colors, all the time, as soon as it happens, right? Just boom, colors. And that's what we did. And like, obviously, like I could tell you liked it, and that just means the world to me. And I'm also super excited for you particularly, because like, that means that you're having a good day. And that means a lot to me. And I'm glad that I can be in that kind of helpful thing to make sure that you are having that good day too. Aww. That means a lot.
Oh no.
I think I'm gonna cry.
I am
Give me a
sorry.
second. Okay. All good. Okay, I talked to a couple of people. Oh, no. Happy cry. I haven't sad cried since like 425 Age of Shards. And I was born in 426 Age of Shards. I talked to a couple people, and I got a group of people that are going to be going to my work, where we're going to have ice cream, and you can be able to meet a couple people and have friends and like get to know people, and like you'll have like a large group of people that you can kind of like communicate with and pass cell phone numbers to, and I felt like it'd be a good chance for you to kind of socialize with a smaller like almost like a snip cutout of everybody. You know, like, it's not like the whole campus, but it's such a wide variety of people that, like, it's like a small sample of the campus. And you could kind of, like, get an idea of what you're looking for friends and wise, and such like that. But, like, besides the point, there was also a thing in your room. I kind of shut the door, because, like, I didn't know if it was something that you had in there. And I didn't want to like invade your privacy. I know you haven't really moved in yet, but like you have boxes in there. But I also don't want to invade your privacy, because I know that that's your space, and you know, like I want to make sure that you know that your space is respected, and you know, I'm not gonna go invading your space. Also, I did manage to make sure that there is a nice little fold-out bed for the couch in case we ever have people over at all. I don't know if you're gonna have people over at all. What else? You know, it's kind of a slow start this morning. I had a thing happen, and it kind of took me a while to get going after that thing happened. So, I'm sorry, like, it wasn't able to be more decorations, and everything, before we, like, you know, before like you got here. I got kind of a slow start, and you know, I'm sorry, because like, you know, I wished it could have been better, but I'm glad that it still got the job done. So you know, that's good. That's good. But yeah, my boyfriend, he's my boyfriend, Clint, you know, he told me that, you know, I have a lot of things to work on before, like, I can be, like, you know, like, worthy, and, you know, like, I get that, you know, like, I got a lot of growing to do, and, you know, I got a lot of things that I need to work on for myself, and, you know, I'm always trying to improve, and always trying to be better. And
there's like a second where,
you know,
like,
I took the things that he said
where
took
Clack
it to heart,
stops
and
typing.
I'm going to work on it, and
entire time.
you know, try to be
and he grabs
more deserving and
Eloise's
a better
hand.
person. And I'm also going to make sure.
Stop talking.
That is impressive. What year is it now? Will there be paste? I wish to taste ice cream.
I'm doing the thing again,
Maids, come
aren't I?
along. Will Icarus be there? What kind of thing? What thing happened? Are you alright? The colors are perfect. Fear not, friend. May I let Clint? I wish to say something about your worthiness.
It was supposed to be meet, not let.
Okay. Let's see if I can remember everything that's there. Okay, so there will be paste for the ice cream. We don't have as many flavor options for the paste, but we do have a couple paste flavor options. What else? I'm glad you like the colors. Sure, Hades can come. If he wants. And well, Clint has a hard time being alone, and since I needed to work on myself, and everything like that, to be more worthy of him, he decided to get a new girlfriend for the time being, maybe. Not that I'm not opposed to polyamory maybe in the future, but they decided to go to Spokestot while I work on myself to be better for
There
for
is
him.
more typing,
And,
and it's like a
it's a
quick,
chance to grow. It's a
furious
chance to be a better person, and I'm doing good.
I am so sorry about
Yep.
the cats in the background. It's all good.
Eloisa, you do need to prove your
Do not
worthiness.
need to.
Do not like
You're
Clint.
good. I'm so sorry for Eloisa rants.
There's more furious typing.
He's a really nice guy. He's just misunderstood. Like. I don't know. I feel like if I was enough for him, things would be better.
That she needs to be better for him. He is blind. I will kick his shins.
I mean,
I cannot reach his face.
his shins? I think. Well,
And I will kick his face.
I mean, he's not that much taller than you. He's he's only 2'9". But that's kind of besides the point. I think no matter what, I feel like no matter
You need
what,
to make
I just
sure
need
you are
to.
happy.
I just need to make sure that, I do work on myself. If not for Clint, for me, I haven't been unhappy
But are you happy?
since 425 age of shards. It's I was born in 426, so we're good. I am. I've got you as a roommate. I'm starting new university. I got a good job. I'm the head creamer, which is absolute awesome job. I absolutely love being the head creamer. It's such a good job. I love making people smile, and like, there's no better job to make people smile than being the head creamer.
He just like
and like Icewind Creamery is like
her
awesome.
shin.
Like they got all kinds of different flavors and stuff like that.
It will still kick him.
And so, honestly, you couldn't ask for a happier person.
Clack nods.
Well,
and then,
why
kind of
don't you
motions
go
for
and
Hades
sit
to
your stuff
follow
down,
him in with
and
the
we
statue.
can head on over to the creamery together.
Wants to go see what that thing in his room is that she was talking about.
So as you open the door, you see something green sprint up Aedes, across Aedes' shoulder, and jump out the door.
It comes off of Aedes, or
quickly sits the bus down on your bed, and goes to try to run after this thing. Like it crawls up Aedes' leg and jumps off of Aedes' shoulder. You can see like this green, feathery-looking substance that was like passes by your eyes quickly.
18.
You start running through the halls after this thing, zipping through. And you make me an athletics check. You're zipping by, and you go sprinting after this thing, and you're catching up to it. You can see this lizard tail kind of flickering back and forth with this giant, like, shrub on its back. As you're kind of zipping through, you run through a door, past Aedes now, because Aedes has lost it at this point. And you zip into a room. After it, zip around the corner, and you see it jump up into like a rack with a bunch of pots and pans on it.
I would like to
near like
appeal
a
to
kitchen
this creature.
area, and it just kind of sits there, flicking its tongue at you.
That was not a great roll. That was the 9.
Make an animal handling check.
It's out of reach, right?
It just sticks its tongue at you and just nope.
I would like to make a jump for it. $18.
Yeah, it's like it. You could maybe make a jump for it. Make an athletics check. You jump up and you grab this lizard, and all the pots and pans come down as you jump, and you hear this loud crash. As pots and pans go scattering everywhere. And you hear some yelling from down the hall. Icky, as you hear this crash come from your kitchen.
What was that?
You come around the corner to see all the pots and pans from the kitchen on the floor.
There's like
and you
like
see
a moment where
Clack
Clack's
wrestling
mouth
with a
opens
fern
and then,
lizard
like, kind of
underneath the pots.
gently snaps shut. Like,
Clack,
you
if
can't
you
really
wanted to
say
visit, you
anything
could
at
have
this
just shot
point
me a
'cause
message.
He's hanging onto a lizard, so Clack just like looks towards like the direction that they had come in, but does not dare let go.
Where did the lizard come from? Icky is gonna pick up Clack so that way they're not on like the floor. He's gonna put them on the counter and then start putting
Clack
away like
just,
the
like,
pots and pans.
Snuggles
And
the
then
lizard.
he's gonna pick up Clack and be like, let's get you outside so that way you can release your other new friend
I pet
that
the
you
lizard.
made.
See, the lizards calm down a lot at this point. Gulp, gulp, gulp.
Is there like a tank or something? Like a, or like something we can put the lizard in for Clack.
You have some Tupperware that you have right now.
That works for now. So I'm just gonna grab
I
some Tupperware, and
I
I'm gonna
put
hold
the
out
lizard in the
the
Tupperware
Tupperware to Clack and kind of indicate for the lizard to go into the Tupperware.
with a final pet to the head. A nod.
He just kind of curls up and looks at you and says, "Thump, thump."
We can get you a tank for him later, Clack. And then Nicky's gonna pick up Clack and kind of put him on his horn.
At this point, that you get a call on your cell stone, Icky.
Gonna pick it up. What could that be?
Yeah, you get a call from Ianthe telling you to hurry up downstairs.
I'm going
do you
to
take the time to put Clack down, or are you
acknowledge
just
it,
doing this with Clack
hang
on
up.
your head?
go into my room real quick, grab my book and the box, tuck it into my bag, and then cook it downstairs. I'm just gonna do it with Clack in my horn.
Wait a minute,
So
so
you just-
Clack was there the whole time? Was Clack witness to this murder too?
Yeah.
It's just, it's just this skeletal Kenku clutching onto a Tupperware.
Everyone just thought Icky had a new weird hat.
Yeah, it's my fancy hat, you know.
So I guess I have something
that's
to
like
do.
high fashion. That's like high fashion hattery right there.
I shove at Louis Vuitton.
I accept.
I'm not. I'm not even mad at it. This is exactly what happens.
It makes sense.
So
Go watch a murder.
So, for those of you unaware, go tune into Orientation Week for Ianthe to get the details on what we just talked about. It's not too long after your fated encounters that you end up getting that
He
text
responds
from
back with,
Eloisa Clack saying,
I will see you soon.
Hey, don't know where you disappeared off to. I'm headed to the creamery. Meet me there whenever you're ready.
It's because I've been skeleton napped, isn't it?
Notice that you haven't seen Aedes at all since y'all split up to run for the Fern Lizard. And as you and Icky and your
Phenomenal.
new
That was grand.
group of friends start heading off to the creamery, that is where we will end your session 0 for Clack.